Facebook in the dock. I repeat, Facebook in the dock. Joining me is Subimal Bhattacharjee, who covers the intersection of business and technology. Subimal, good to see you on Newsnight. Thank you once again for your time. Now, the minister talks about bias, inaction, interference. These are very serious concerns for any government, particularly India, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think the Law and Information Technology Minister has made it very clear and in no uncertain terms about the concerns that come from a very popular social media platform that is Facebook. Now, in Facebook, if you see today, they have the largest number of users in India.
Right.
Anywhere in the world, more than 30 crores users are there. And yes, people have got a great medium of expression, and to remain connected. But a lot of biases, are coming on. That is what the minister has pointed out. That, even you see many of their employees' own biases are getting in the way of what an intermediary's role should be. Now, Facebook as an intermediary is guided under Section 79 of our Information Technology Act. That means they are only the facilitators. They should have no role in the inception, transmission, or reception of any communication that goes to the medium. Now, if you see the recent activities that are happening, as it has happened in two of the stories that have come out in a foreign American journal, where it's being very clear that some of their employees are trying to tell things or trying to express their own feelings as citizens, which under the Facebook own employees code of ethics and all, they would not be allowed. So the question that the minister rightly raises is that, why are you not following those same credentials that you yourself vouch for? India is a very large democracy. It has a great democratic practice. So why are these efforts happening through this platform, which are trying to undermine the practice of democracy in India? So I think the minister is very right and just very pertinent that at this time he has also given this letter, because much of the biases of Facebook are also being alleged, towards the center of right or the rural dispensation in those 2-3 columns that has been coming out. But if you see, as he has pointed out in the run-up to the 2019 election, that it has been the other way around also. So I think it's, Facebook has to pull up its socks and understand that it cannot be seen in any kind of bias, and it has to play by the rules that we set in this country.
Absolutely. I mean, it cannot be business as usual, given the contents of the letter which we are flashing on our television screens as we speak. This is a very serious concern raised by the minister. Now, if I can go back to one of the quotes from that letter, Subimal, he says, it is doubly problematic when the bias of individuals becomes an inherent bias of the platform. And it is unacceptable when political biases of individuals impinge on the freedom of speech of millions of people. Now, that's a very valid argument. I wonder what Facebook has to say.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, when you have 30 crore people within a country, using your platform, giving you the mileage for all of your, business accumulations and prosperity, when, you are or your employees are indulging in practices that itself violates a promise that you try to make. And it is not only a promise or a business promise. It is also made by Facebook. So,
Subimal, why is Facebook so unwilling to, quote you, play by the rules? Why is it an unwilling participant and ignoring these instances quoted by the minister in the letter of its own employees?
Well, I think, as you have seen, very many times they try to go back and say, that they are bound with laws of California, or they go by their terms of action. But as the minister has also stated, that, the community standards and few of our own cultural inherent, sentiments that we have, they all should be respected. After all, 30 crores is, not a, small petty number. So they have to respond. And if they are not responding, which they should do out of their own, business interest. But if they are not responding, that we are also not weak enough, because we have the rules and laws in place. The intermediary guidelines have been lying, for the government now to basically changed. So once that happens, then the responsibility also falls on someone like Facebook to take steps, and if not, there could be action. So we cannot leave the space of social media, to which determines a lot of our democratic practices and beliefs, and motivates many to use this platform for their own aspirations, to be misguided, and that too by the employees of a platform who should play by their own rules. So internally Facebook should take action against such kind of tendencies, and two, externally they should follow the rules that they do here. What they told recently in Mr. Mark Zuckerberg recently went to the US House Judiciary Committee, and there he again repeated the same story, that they have no role in any kind of bias. They want to play only as a platform. So I think these are the things that we'll also have to enforce, and we have the laws and rules, and the minister's letter today is very clear in intent, that there is nothing.
Subhimal, look at the hypocrisy, look at the duplicity of Facebook here. On the one hand, before 2019 election, Facebook deletes pages which tilt towards the right of center political opinion. At the same time, it outsources fact checking to a third party and doesn't care about actual information related to COVID-19 pandemic in India. So I can't seem to wrap my head around these duplicity and hypocrisy in the part of Facebook platform.
Yeah, I think, that's the whole story around the fact checkers. Their own credentials are question mark in a certain place. And if you remember earlier this year, there was a commitment by Facebook and a few other social media to form, a kind of an alliance and go ahead and track all the fake news down and, ensure that their networks are not misused. So this kind of duplicity, when it's no corrective action comes from their end, we must be able to push them to take action. It's not that, that they're only investing in India in this times, hence we should, give them any leeway. Not at all. I think the minister's intent is very clear. That letter itself signifies that they have to pull up their socks or there will be action. And we have the laws and wherewithal.
So what kind of action can the government take? So help our viewers understand, does the government have a legal recourse? Can government take Facebook to task?
Of course it has. If such kind of activities are happening from their employees, that means they are getting involved in the transmission of a particular content. So Section 79, under which they are getting immunity of the Section 79 of the Information Technology Act and the rules therein, they are getting whatever immunity they are not supposed to get, and hence government has the laws, exact laws in place to take action against them. So they could be penalized, and even there could be action against their management. So I don't think there is any vacuum in terms of tightening them.
And what do we know about these organizations, Subhimal? The third party in this case, the fact-checking team outsourced by Facebook. Now, the letter says these are quote-unquote shady organizations with no credibility. Why would Facebook want to do it in the first place? And second, should it continue or should it immediately suspend this practice of giving it to a third party?
Well, you see, I think that's a very good point that the minister makes. I have always held that belief, that this kind of subjective choosing of third party to perform a certain task, which has a lot of, public policy implications, I think this should go away, and the responsibility should lie with the platform, and not, go behind any.
So Facebook cannot now say that it was done by a third party, not us. It cannot hide behind this facade.
Absolutely. They cannot, their responsibility lies with Facebook. The fact checkers doesn't exist anywhere in the eyes of the law. Facebook as an intermediary exists in the eyes of the law, and the rules by which they have to play within the laws of the country. So period. I think that has to be really pursued by the government to push these people to taking corrective actions.
Absolutely. So if there's one point Subhimal makes, that is Facebook should and must play by the rules. On that note, Subhimal, thank you once again for joining us on NewsNet. Appreciate it. Thank you for